well, I'm going to have stylists who are in Aberdeen, who are in Ireland, who are in London, who are wherever, all posting that message and spreading it out. And it also looking like it's coming from a personal recommendation as well. So for us, that's much more powerful than anything we could do in any other way, really. So with so many choices, how do we focus where we go and where we spend time? Well, and again, this kind of alludes to what was said before, we go where they are. We don't try and reinvent the wheel, we don't try and, as they're discovering new things, we make sure we embrace it too. So Periscope's a great example, like more and more of them are starting to use Periscope. We're making sure that we're at the forefront and helping them with that, but we're not going to force Periscope onto them. What we know is that our stylists are on Facebook and Pinterest and Instagram, and so we're going to make sure that we're there as well, and we're providing content for them to be able to share as much as they possibly can, and we make sure that that's what we're doing. So we follow where they are and we support them in what they're doing too. And then we give them really, I'm sure you guys have everyone seen this before. Have you seen this before? Yeah. I mean, so, we give them the content to try and help them. So we will help and teach them, how can they do social media, how do you use Twitter versus Facebook versus whatever, but essentially we let them find their own medium of marketing their own company, because that's essentially what it is when they become a stylist. So here's a good example. This is me. This is my life. And one of the things that I think, I said house renovation, this is what I came from this morning. And this is one of the things that's the most important, is that we make sure that everything we do is authentic, it's genuine, and also that really it embraces what our brand is about. And I said at the beginning, our brand was about people not having to make that choice, right? Not having to make that choice of perhaps family or life outside of work versus work, that actually all of it is encompassed together. And so we really try and make sure that we embrace that as well as a company, from the inside and from the outside. So everything that we show is that is the case. So this is an example of basically screen grabs and things from my Facebook page. But showing all stages of myself, because it makes sense because I'm here, right? So whether it's that it's his friend, it says that's not my child, by the way, that's my adorable goddaughter who I'm obsessed by. I'm a wife, I'm a sister, I work, I enjoy my job, all sorts of sides of this, because actually that's the way that it's most authentic. So that when I do post, about my job, and being at a Stella & conference, and how it's great and how we're empowering all these women, that it feels really authentic, because actually it's in amongst what else I'm doing in my life. It's not the only thing I'm talking about. What's that, 10 minutes? That's fine, I'll be done in that time. And so we give our community the best practice to be able to do that, like I was saying, so we really support them in doing that. And then sharing as well, so then sharing, if you're a Stella & stylist, what would you do with the extra income? So we share their stories, and that's again the most authentic thing we can do, is sharing stories of the person who, Elisa who paid for her wedding dress, or the stylist who paid to actually be able to spend time at home with her kids. That's the way that we kind of do our marketing, and we pass it out that way. And then we share the content of what it means to be a Stella & stylist at all times. So sharing imagery, sharing that we take them on great holidays, because that's one of the things that you get as a Stella & stylist, is you potentially get to go on great holidays. So really sharing the lifestyle, and that really shares the brand, and that really gets our message out there as much as we possibly can as well, and just showing how fun and energetic it is at all times too. And then with so many choices, where do we input all this information? So what we do is we make sure that we make it as easy as possible for our stylists. So we have what we call our lounge, which is basically an online marketing toolbox. So we have an online marketing toolbox that when you become a Stella & stylist, you get access to. And there, literally, they log in, and they've got all, they can log in at 3 in the morning whilst they're breastfeeding, whatever it is, they can see. I'm very used to being in a room full of women, but that's what they can do. They can log in, they can find their marketing tools, they can work out how I'm going to book another trunk show, or how I'm going to talk to someone about holding a trunk show, or how I'm going to tell this woman that I think she looks great in a piece of jewellery. We give them all the information that they need there, kind of in a set marketing toolbox for them. And then really what this does is it really creates a culture of really, really fierce loyalty, and actually that's why it's so powerful. So, we love our community, we're very much part of our community, and we have created a community of 2,500 women in the UK that's incredibly strong. We create it together, so we listen to what they want, and if they want more Facebook content, we give it to them. If they want more for Pinterest, we give it to them. If they want bigger, crazier necklaces, we give it to them. We give them what they want, because they're driving their businesses, and they're ultimately then driving our business. we show them the way, so we can say to them, we know there's a big trend for lots of layered delicate necklaces coming up, and we can show them that, but we're also listening to them the whole way too. We stand for something bold, which means that they feel really empowered by it. And then we really initiate opportunities for real shared experiences. So we really, try and bring them together as much as we can. So we have a whole, for example, Facebook community page where they can all talk amongst themselves, share great ideas, share great content, and really create their own marketing plans as a base of that as well, which really means that we have real benefits of obviously having this really fierce loyalty. We have basically these empowered evangelists who literally will walk around talking about Stella and Dot non-stop to everybody they know, sharing the brand message in a really proud and positive way, which what more can you really ask for from your brand? We have this grassroots research and development team essentially who are feeding back to us all the time about what's working in Aberdeen, what's working in France, what's working in Saint-Tropez, what's working in Dublin, feeding back to us all the time so that we can really hone our brand to that. We have a hungry client base because they're constantly looking for more and they're fully engaged. We have reduced attrition, so we have really, because there's such a strong community feel and there's such strong brand awareness and they feel so supported, well actually it means that they're really engaged with the business and they're very unlikely then to leave the business as well as a result of that. And then it really just means that we have happy clients as stylists, and then even better we have happy customers at the end of the day as well, because they're servicing their customers in the best way possible and really shining about the brand as well. So it really kind of all brings itself back to being able to do that. And so that each time we launch, and this is just an example of, skip over this, but this is an example of when we launch, how much information we really give them. We give them everything they need each step of the way to really, launch a new season and really help them build their marketing toolbox themselves so they can really be marketing like their own entrepreneur. And then that basically means that we can just build this whole brand together and actually do it all across Europe. So by having this really strong community, we're building more and more across Europe. So like I said, at the moment we have stylists in France and in Germany. We're expanding that across more of Europe, and that's happening naturally because it's such an organic process. There's someone in France, someone in Spain, someone in Italy, who they're all telling about Stella and Dot. And so now we have countries that we're being pulled to because we have women saying, I want to be able to do this too because this word of mouth is so strong. So that was kind of a bit about Stella and Dot. I know that was a lot on the brand. I know it's very different to what a lot of people do, but I hope that some of it was kind of interesting, or at least an insight into a slightly different world of marketing. So.
Very good. A quick question myself actually for you, which is, clearly a strong story and a wonderful story of loyalty. Is that all cracked now, or what's next on the agenda for you? How are you going to take it to them? Is there a next level to take it to?
There is, so definitely expansion across Europe is a big thing for us, next stage. I'd say there's a lot of growth still left in the UK, so that's my job at the moment. And yeah, so in the US now, the company's been going for about 9-10 years in America. And actually this year we launched 2 sister brands as well, also in the direct sales space, but one beauty brand and one other jewellery brand that's launched more for a younger demographic, so a lot of college students and things like that. It's about collectibles and charms and things like that. And actually I think there's a marketplace for that in the UK, so it will be a case of expanding that way.
So I suspect quite a few of us would kill for this sort of loyalty.
The question I was going to ask was, you hear of brands like this, and it's really interesting, very energetic and very, very positive. Do you think you could, I've never heard of one for men, maybe other men in the room have, but it seems to be that women will do this. But, we're all the same, exactly equal, aren't we? So
exactly.
Why is that?
I don't think that. There are direct sales businesses out there. They are quite different to Stella and Dot, I'd say. They're generally slightly more, I don't want to be derogatory, they're slightly more traditional. No, they're slightly more traditional, and things like that. You do have ones that are like food plans and things like that, which slightly have more men. But yeah, it does tend to be women. I think predominantly because most of the women who come to Stella and Dot start because they are looking for either they need flexibility. I think flexibility is one of the big things that really attracts them, and that's where it starts with. And I think there's probably just generally there are less men who are looking for that flexibility, which sounds, I hate saying that because it sounds very kind of, gender-based, but I think generally that's the case. There's people come to us looking for flexibility, and a lot of women start and, like I said, do it a couple of hours extra, and then they realise that, for us a great target market is like a 28-year-old, because she's like, oh, you know, I want to do this to earn money towards my wedding dress. And then perhaps when she's like 32, she's like, oh, I've now had a baby and I don't know if I want to go back to work. And she's already started with Stella and Dot, so she's like, actually, there's another option for me. I don't have to go back to work. I can choose my own hours and earn as much as I was before. So I think that's almost wise. It's to do with the opportunity rather than the product as such. And I think women are social beings, so women like the idea of shopping in a group. You know, as teenagers we shop in a group, and that's kind of why we love the excuse to do it, because after the age of about 15 no one invites us to do it anymore. So I think there's a big part of that as well.
Any more questions?
Who's your main competition?
Well, it kind of depends whether it's in the jewellery market or in the direct sales market. Either.
What do the stylists face?
A bit of both. To be honest, we don't have like one direct competitor at all. In the jewellery market, it's definitely changed a lot in the 4 years since I've been at Stella and Dot. And when we started, we were very much on our own. There was nothing around this price point. And as the high street's got better and better at costume jewellery, I'd still say that we don't really, I mean, there's places like Zara and things like that at the lower end, but the product and the quality of what we produce is much higher. So we kind of sit quite on our own in that camp. Places like J. Crew in America, a lot more J. Crew, Banana Republic, things like that. And then in the direct sales space, again, there's no one really doing the jewellery. You know, there's brands like Pampered Chef just gone out of business. There's one called My Showcase, which does beauty products. That was based on quite a similar model to ours, so that's probably, yeah.
Seems like the marketing of this is really important, and so you said you provide a lot of tools and a lot of the capabilities, because you now have to make all of these folks really good at marketing themselves.
Yeah.
You build all that yourselves, or how do you go about doing that?
Yeah, so everything's done in-house. We don't use, and the only thing we use an agency for is in the UK, is I have a PR agency. Everything's done in-house, so with ourselves, and the head office is over in San Francisco, our global head office. But yeah, we do it all ourselves. It's all about just listening to our stylists, and we're lucky, our stylists will tell us. You know, I spoke to 3 stylists on the way here this morning. You know, I speak to them all, we speak to them all the time. They feed back to us, they let us know what it is that they need to help them grow their businesses, so yeah.
Excellent. So you're going to hand out samples now?
Yeah, I should have bought some samples.